like a handsome baby. This is a new video. Okay, so I am going to be going over my book reading challenge I did last year. Now I try doing this every year, and last year I was able, because of everything going on in the world, I was able to double my reading. So I read 24 books out of the 12 that I thought I would read. The most pages, or all the pages combined, I read 11,916 pages.
Music licensing
So
reimagined.
before I go into anything else more, Goodreads is an app or a website that you can use that like gives you reviews. You can review. You can put look for books and so on and so forth. It's free. I'm not being paid to promote it or anything like that. But I've used this app since high school, and I really like it. You can make friends on here and look at their shelves and whatnot. Now you get started off with the standard 3 shelves: what you're currently reading, what you've read, and what you want to read. And you can see other people's reviews on the book so that you can make a decision if you want to read them or not. Some people do put spoilers in there, so they have the spoiler alert button if you do write spoilers in your reviews. But yeah, they also have this challenge where you see how many books you can read in a year and you try to meet your goal. So they don't put a goal for you. They don't say, okay, you have to read 20 books this year. No, you make your own goal. So that's why I tried doing one book a month. So my book challenge from last year was 12 books, and I actually read 24. The shortest book I read was Milk and Honey, with a total of 204 pages. The longest book I read was Glass, with 681 pages. And then my average book length for 2020 was 496 pages. So the most popular book that was on the shelf was Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. I think that's how you say his name. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. And then the least popular book was one of my textbooks, which I actually add my textbooks to my reading goals because I do read the full book. I know a lot of college students probably don't read their full textbooks, but I find that I obtain information more if I read everything than I do skimming and jotting stuff down. So that's just how I am. So the book was Beginnings and Beyond for Early Childhood Education. That was 176, least popular. My average rating for 2020 on all my books was 3.8. And then my highest rated book that I read on Goodreads was Perfect by Ellen Hopkins. The first book review of the year, which I gave 3 stars, was Everlasting. And if you want to read my review on that, you can go and look for me in the description below. My husband's messaging me. Okay. So the first, I'm going to just mark this off as a series. There's 2 books that was finishing up in a series. One is called Night Star, and the last one is Everlasting. And they are from the Evermore series, which is the series is based on an immortal guy who, I don't even know how to describe this because it's kind of creepy. I personally didn't like how the storyline went. Basically, this girl gets in a car accident within her. All her family dies, but she doesn't, which she doesn't understand why she didn't die. And she ends up having to live with her 30-year-old aunt. And she's 16, 17 at the time. And she's having all these strange things happen to her, and this guy, who's supposedly the most attractive guy in the school, is in love with her. And it basically turns out that he stalked her whole life and so on and so forth, and it's just creepy in that sense. I also didn't like the fact that they were never getting, something kept setting them back of what they needed to go for, which was stupid things that would happen. And yeah, I just did not like that. Another book.
Music licensing.
Then going off of that, because I don't want to give any spoilers on books in this. So my next book that I read was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. And now a lot of people did not like this book. especially if you're a literal reader. I didn't look at it as literal. And I feel like if you watched the documentary that she has on Netflix, I don't know if it's on there anymore, but if you watch that, which I did, and then you read the book, you would understand it a little more better. I feel like her, like, the spark of joy was a metaphoric thing to talk about. Like, I'm not going to keep, like, something's not going to spark joy to me. Like, do I want
Music
it?
licensing,
Like, when am I going to use it next? So on and so forth. I feel like that is what she meant by spark joy. So that's how I took it, and that's what I've been doing when I do declutter and organize my home. I actually own that book, and I do own the other 2 books that I talked about before. The other 2 books, I'm actually getting rid of the whole series and giving it to my older sister. They're actually going to be getting shipped out hopefully soon. And then this book I actually gave to my mom because she likes organizing and decluttering too. Another book that I read, which I own but don't have because I have a co-worker's borrowing it, is called Get Out of Your Head by Jennie Allen, and it is a Christian-based book. So if you aren't Christian, I wouldn't even read it for the Christian aspects because it does talk more about how to deal with anxiety and so on and so forth. But the only thing I did not like out of the book is that Jennie only suffered from anxiety for like not even a year, like a really short amount of time. I want to say it was like 3 or 6 months. And with someone like me who suffers from general anxiety disorder, who gets panic attacks like doing like basically nothing half the time, it's kind of like a little like, well, I don't know how to like base it. Like, I don't want to judge her because people have anxiety, like suffer anxiety in their like different ways. But I feel like she wrote the book based on her very first episode to 3 months later where she was at. And was it really anxiety at that point? Okay, my camera died, so I don't remember where I left off. I was talking about Get Out of Your Head by Jennie Allen. But other than that, there is a lot of good points on how to deal with anxiety, and like there's a lot of Christian points too if you are Christian and would like to read that book. Otherwise, if you're not Christian, I would request you to read that book too. Another book I read, which I actually borrowed from my little sister, is called Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. Or Karu. I don't know what's the name. I'm sorry. I really did not like this book. I know it was like the most popular book last year that I read. I especially, and I don't know if this had to make my decision, but my little sister had given the book to me. Now, at the time she was 12, and I was kind of appalled on a lot of the details and graphics and stuff like that was in the book, because I don't feel like a 12-year-old should be reading that. A lot of the lines of it was dealing with rape and sex, mostly sex. And there was a lot of images that, I mean, she shouldn't have seen and stuff like that, so I was kind of a little appalled by that. I feel like that book should be rated more towards like high school, maybe even college area. But I personally did not like how the book was written. I feel like the book should have been written more into a story format than she was trying to do it in like a poetic story, which I did not feel like suited the book at all. And I feel like if she would have wanted to write the book, she should have done it in a more poem format if she wanted her artistic drawings in there. Now, her book made me want to read some Ellen Hopkins book, because Ellen Hopkins writes in a really good story poetic format. I don't even know if it would be poetic per se, but she writes it really well. So I ended up reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 books last year from Ellen Hopkins. And I will start off with what I read: Impulse, Perfect, Crank, glass, fallout, burn, smoke, tricks, traffic, triangles, tilt, identical, collateral, and rumble. And now some of them are in book series, which I can post somewhere on the screen. But I think a lot of the books that she wrote were really well written. The only one I did not like the ending of was Perfect, but I feel like a lot of her books are either like she actually like went to like thought into writing the ending of the book, and I feel like a lot of times it was just like kind of pushed on. Which I will talk. That was the only book I felt that way of. But there's for what I read last year. But there's one more book that I read that I will talk about in a different video. But yeah, I really enjoy her books a lot. I like the way it's written. It's very, like, she is very grasping when it comes to her words, and I really like it. So that's all I'm going to say about those books. And her books are very controversial topics. Like, there is LGBTQ, which I know is, like, very, like, controversial in the world right now, which I am for all of you, just to let you know. There's, like, drug use, sex, like, underage sex, rape, sex trafficking, prostitution, stripping. I'm trying to think of other things. Like I said, drug use, alcohol abuse. There's teenage pregnancy. There's just like a lot of like very controversial things that go on in the book. In the book series that I read. So I would highly like suggest reading them. Of course, if you're of age. Two books that I read that I have, they're up there. I don't feel like bringing them down, but they are my textbooks, and I gave them all 5 stars. I felt like they got to the point. There wasn't a lot of reading to do for my early childhood education diploma that I'm going for. So if you guys have to read those books, just let me know down below. And let me know if you also, if you do Goodreads, if you count your textbooks, if you read them fully through as a book you read for the year. And then the last book that I read last year was Voices in the Snow by Darcy Codas. And I gave it a 5-star. And I'll just read you my review, but you can always go and look at my reviews. I wrote, I thought it was werewolves, but I was wrong. This book was by far great. Nothing was predictable, and I felt each action flowed perfectly with the storyline. The ending was a perfect touch, too. So, basically, the book, which I really don't read, this is actually part of a spooky book club by Jade the Libro, which I will post her channel somewhere in the corners. I don't know what side corners are on. But she does Spooky Book Club every month, and the book for the month of December was Voices in the Snow, and it wasn't really spooky aspect, so I wouldn't, like, if I was reviewing it off the book club, yes, I wouldn't give it a 5 stars, but I thought the book was really well written, and it wasn't predictable, like I said, and basically the book is about this girl wakes up from a car accident, and she doesn't remember, like, she has amnesia, she doesn't remember where she is or anything like that, and she wakes up in this, like, creepy, like, mansion that this guy has lived in with his family for, like, centuries. Like, he didn't live in there, but his family's lived in the house for centuries. So at first I was like, oh my gosh, this better not be, like, a vampire werewolf book, but it's not. It is, like, post-apocalyptic, though. If you aren't a fan of that, I would suggest not reading that. But the book is basically about her trying to remember, like, where she was going, why she was going, to the place that she was going to, and, like, what was going on in the world, because she doesn't, like, remember what's going on. His family was very secluded in this area of the woods where they didn't use like TVs and all that stuff. They had one phone that wasn't working, and so he had no idea what was going on in the world, so that was a whole other thing. But yeah, I would suggest reading that book, though, unless it doesn't suit you. But those are all the books that I
Music
read last year.
licensing reimagined.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys find books that you like. I really suggest reading Ellen Hopkins books. They are really good. She does have young adult ones and novels for adults. They're both, even if you are like 30 years old and read the young adults, I'm 25. I read the young adult books, and I think it's okay. But yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Ta-ta! Bye.